A brand new year, a brand new setting. As you can see, I have a completely different location. So after seeing over 60 brand new films in 2013, I realised one thing. I need to get out more. Well, actually, when I go out, I go to the cinema, so I need to stay in more, I guess. Anyway, before my top 10, I thought I'd pick a few films and do a quick review. So, in no particular order, apart from the top 10, here we go. VHS. Great idea for a film. A group of people break into a house and they find some found footage on the VHS and they watch it. And us, the audience, watch it with them. Simple but effective. I enjoyed this film a lot. VHS 2. Same thing pretty much. Basically it's a found footage clip show. Not as good as VHS 1, but I liked it. R.I.P.D. Ryan Reynolds gets killed and he has to work in the Rest in Peace department with Jeff Bridges for some reason. Kevin Bacon is in this film also. Bizarrely, I found the final 20 minutes or so really funny, really funny, but the first hour or so is terrible. Well, not quite terrible, I guess. Not bad enough to be terrible, but not good enough to be okay. It's terror-K. Warm Bodies. Back in February, this was one of my favourite films of the year, but since then I guess a few more films have come out. And it's slid down and eventually out of the top 10. It's definitely the best romantic comedy with zombies since Shaun of the Dead. I thought this film was great. The Internship. I preferred this film when it was called Old School. Like Old School, Will Ferrell is the funniest person in this film, but unlike Old School, Will Ferrell does not star in this film. Sorority Party Massacre. I have no memory of watching this, but it's on my list, so apparently I've seen it. Insidious Chapter 2. This movie carries on where the last one left off, and it ties in with it very well. James Wan knows exactly when to scare someone, when to calm the audience down, when to make them laugh, and credit to Lee Winnell as well for writing a great script. He's a very good script writer. Funny he wrote my scripts. See, if he had wrote my script I would have said something a lot better than that. The Conjuring. James Wan again, Patrick Wilson again, scares again. I think I preferred this to Insidious 2. It was a bit better. It does a very good job of keeping the audience nervous in between the scares. James Wan was definitely the king of horror this year. G.I. Joe Retaliation. Man, this movie was promoted to fuck. And they delayed it so they could 3D it up, but they continued promoting it throughout 2012 and 2013 until it finally came out, and it was almost worth it. Not only must the Joes fight Cobra, but now it would appear that the United States President wants to destroy the world. What a bastard. I could watch Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in anything but gay porn, and he's been in better, he's also been in worse, as has Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis has definitely been in worse. Die Hard 5, or whatever the fuck his actual title is. I was looking forward to this so much. I love Die Hard 4. Die Hard 4 was done right. Die Hard 5 was... well, I actually didn't hate it. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it either. I guess this could be because when it came to the cinema I actually didn't see it then. I was scared by what I might see based on all the negative things I was hearing about it at the time, so I waited till it came out to DVD and I got a cheap copy on eBay and I watched it then, and I guess at this point my expectations was so low they were looking up at my feet. So I guess that helped me. You know, I was expecting utter bollocks. So when I got Die Hard 5, I guess it wasn't quite as bad as I was expecting, but nonetheless, you know, it was still disappointing to see a film where John McClane it didn't seem to be his story. It's almost like he stumbled into someone else's story and it was just a tag-along guy, and that really annoyed me. That you could take John McClane out of the film completely and I don't think anything would really change. In fact, maybe it would have been better. It probably would have been a better reviewed film if it didn't have the Die Hard title. So yeah, easily the weakest of all the Die Hard films. Oblivion. This is a nice looking film, but it's a bit boring. I don't really remember much about it. I haven't got much else to say. I remember watching it and the guy sitting next to me farted really loudly and he woke up the guy in the front row. Fast and Furious 6. It's Fast and Furious again, but this time there's a 6 in the title. The other films didn't have a 6 in the title. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson again, and it's, you know, pretty much, you know what you're going to get with a Fast and Furious film. It's pretty dumb and a lot of things defy all logic and physics, but they are fun films, some of them, and this is probably the best of the lot so far. Pacific Rim. This film deserved more success than it got. I thought it was going to be in my top 10, and if there weren't 10 other films I enjoyed more than it, then it would be. Robot Wars to the extreme. Snitch. Another film with The Rock in it. Good thing I'm a fan. This time he's undercover for the DEA because his son has been sent to jail and he was set up. So he's trying to get a deal done to get his son out. And more drama than action this time round. But I thought this film was great. I really enjoyed it. Pain and Gain. Jesus Christ, another film with The Rock in it. He was the highest grossing film star of 2013. No fucking shit, he was releasing a film every week. That said, this is a really, really funny film. I can't believe it's based on a true story. This was possibly The Rock's best film of the year, and Michael Bay should do more films like this. Michael Bay actually made one of the best films of 2013. Who would have thought, eh? Stoker. I thought this film was going to be interesting, so when it turned out to be interesting, you can imagine my lack of disappointment. Drinking Buddies. This film stars Olivia Wilde, who, in a minute, she was also in The Incredible Burt Wonderstar, and she was in the film Rush. So that's 3 films that got released in 2013 in the UK, and yet amazingly she didn't star alongside The Rock. This film I thought was great. It's a bit of a romantic comedy, but it's different from what you may expect, and I really like that about this film. I wanted to see the film Rush as well, but unfortunately I just didn't get the chance to do that. Watching films took up most of my time in 2013, but not all of it. The Last Stand. Apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't want to go back into movies, but the opportunity to work with Johnny Knoxville was just too good to turn down. This film's dumb, but it's Arnie, so you know, it's entertaining nonetheless. I like this film. Welcome back, Arnold. Ashes and the Quest for the Game Child. I love this film, and it's not just because my name appears in the closing credits. I've been a fan of Stuart Ashton for a while, and I was more than happy to contribute to his Indiegogo campaign to help get this movie made. So I was so glad that it turned out to be a good film as well. It would have been a shame if it was shit. Now You See Me. A few films in 2013 surprised me at how good they were, but this wasn't one of them. I'd read reviews that said it was good, so I wasn't surprised when it turned out that it was. Hunger Games: Catching Fire. I thought the first one was really good, but this one was even better. Another film with Woody Harrelson in it. He's also in Now You See Me, and he's in Freebirds. I never saw Freebirds, but I bet it's brilliant. Red 2. Bruce Willis's best film of 2013. I don't know what that means. Saving Mr. Banks. This movie is fantastic. Tom Hanks is great as usual, but this is all about Emma Thompson for me. Her performance is brilliant. Watching this movie, it's amazing that Mary Poppins ever got made at all. Credit to Colin Farrell for his role in the movie as well. He does a great job. He makes a very convincing drunk. The East. This is a very good film. Anything with Ellen Page in it is going to be interesting, and this is no different. Don John. I don't know what to make of this movie. It's not particularly funny, but it's not particularly drama-y either. It's just a good, solid, well-told story. I liked it. The Heat. Who would have thought Sandra Bullock could be so funny? But Melissa McCarthy is still the best thing about this movie, but Bullock holds her own throughout. They really play off each other very well. And so did all the support cast in this as well. Everybody's just fantastic in this film. It's one of the best comedy films of 2013 for sure. Now then, we move on to the top 10 my favourite films of 2013, at least according to this list. Things may have changed since then, you know, I change my mind all the time. But that's the great thing about opinions and films and stuff, they can change. But at the time of making this list, this was my top 10. Number 10. Evil Dead. Not to be confused with The Evil Dead, although it has to be said there are some similarities. The Evil Dead series is one of my favourite film series ever, from the quite serious first film through to the silly Army of Darkness movie, with Evil Dead 2 being a great combination of the two, you know, serious and silly. And you know, when it was announced there was going to be another Evil Dead film, I wasn't optimistic really. Evil Dead 4, yeah, okay, I'll be on board with that. Bruce Campbell as Ash, sure, why not? It might be fun. But then when it turned out that there was going to be, you know, a remake or reboot instead, I was like, fuck this shit. No, don't do it. And even Bruce Campbell was like, I don't think so. But he got swayed, and I thought, well, I have to see it anyway. And this reboot, part sequel, part alternative universe, or whatever the fuck it actually is, I don't know, it actually turned out to be great. This is an example of how a remake or reboot should be done. It's got plenty of stuff for new fans in there who have not seen Evil Dead before, and plenty of little nods to the original trilogy as well to keep old fans interested, and you know, it pays respect to the original series, which is great, and hats off to them. They've done a fantastic job with this. Number 9. Flight. My running gag where Denzel Washington would find every film ever made just okay lasted for exactly one episode. And what an episode that was. Let's take a look now at the highlights from that episode. If I forget to put the clip in here now, I'm going to look like a rat. This movie is fantastic. The line between what is the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do, who's the hero, who's the villain is really fine. And by fine I mean thin, not, you know, it's alright. So yeah, this movie is a fantastic cast, fantastic story, brilliant film. Number 8. This is the end. I heard you like cameos. The only surprise is Will Ferrell doesn't show up in this thing. Pretty much every other comedic actor is in this. That said, my favourite appearance in the film isn't actually by a comedic actor, it's by someone you wouldn't associate with comedies. Anyway, but it's got a gag rate about as high as the actors must have been when they were making this. This film is hilarious. Number 7. Prisoners. I wasn't planning on seeing this film, but one night me and a few others were a bit bored, so we decided to go see a movie, and we saw Prisoners. And boy wowzers was it good. I mean, again, like Flight, there's a thin line between what the right thing to do, what the wrong thing to do, and this movie is a very powerful film. Number 6. Thor: The Dark World. This film is funnier and actionier than the previous Thor film, and just an all-round better movie. I really loved it. It's got some great twists and turns along the way, but not as much as the film at number 5, which is Iron Man 3. This movie is higher on the list for one simple reason, and that's because it's a better film. It's the best of the Iron Man movies, and it's also the best of the standalone Avengers movies, of any of them. And if Robert Downey Jr. doesn't steal the show, then I'd say Ben Kingsley does, because of, you know, that bit, the scene that he was in that had that bit that was brilliant, you know, that bit. Yeah. Number 4. Django Unchained. Good Lord, I love Quentin Tarantino. The things I would do to him if we were alone. My God, the sweat. The D wouldn't be silent then. Number 3. The World's End. This film was my number 1 for a while. Okay, it's not as good as the other two in the trilogy, but those two films are fantastically, wonderfully brilliant. And so is this, but maybe not quite as good as the other two. The decision to make Simon Pegg the idiot character and make Nick Frost the more sensible one was a genius idea. I love that. And I really hope that those two, along with Edgar Wright, continue to make movies for the future, because those three are brilliant together. Number 2. Gravity. I thought this film was going to look good, but maybe not have anything else going for it, but I read that it was actually quite spectacular. So, whilst on holiday, a decision had to be made. Do we go to the museum that we could only visit on that day, or go see a film that we could easily see whenever we got home? So we went and saw Gravity, and we were blown away by it. It's easily the best film of 2013. It's absolutely brilliant. But this list isn't what I think the best films of 2013 is. It's my favourite films of 2013. So with that said, what's my number 1? Anchorman 2. Of course it is. It's Anchorman, but more. I mean, what's the plot to Anchorman 2? Fuck off. This film has more jokes in it than all the other comedies of 2013 combined. I mean, Adam McKay and Will Ferrell make exactly the kind of movies that I love. Films where they just cram as many jokes in there as they can and try and get an audience laughing as much as possible. I mean, how can you not like a film that at least attempts to get people laughing from the first moment all the way through to the end? Okay, not every joke in this movie works. Some of it does fall a little bit flat, and it's not as good as the original Anchorman, but it never was going to be. Nonetheless, this movie stays classy throughout, and as I said, has just so many gags, and a lot of them work brilliantly. And this film is still absolutely hilarious. I love it to pieces, and I can't wait to watch it again. And yeah, so there you have it. Yeah, that's my favourite film of 2013. If you like this video, then share it, tell other people to watch it, tell them that it's great. If you didn't like this video, keep your opinion to yourself. And here is to 2014, and hopefully another great year of films. And doors opening. Door doesn't stay closed, excellent.